Hi guys, Samuel Larsson here, and I'm going to share one of my most powerful ways to easily test headlines for more of a low traffic sites. Now, ideally, of course, if you have a lot of traffic and you want to test headlines, just go ahead and test headlines. But most of you don't have a lot of traffic and are still looking to improve their sites. And headline is actually a big part of this, because most of your organic traffic will actually land on the homepage. So the question is, how do we entice these people to read and engage with the page? And of course, they will see headline the first. So this is a change that we can make that is very easy, but also very powerful. So this test will be a great way to test whether your headlines actually work for your audience or not. It's really fast, it doesn't require any traffic, and it's actually surprisingly accurate. So you can complete this, if you're good, in just under an hour, and I'm going to walk you through this step by step on exactly how to do this. So let's get started. Now, a little bit of theory, of course, in the beginning. The purpose of the headline, this is to make people read more. So it's the first defense against the back button. So your people are either going to read more or they're going to hit to the previous page. And that back button is your eternal enemy, so to say. So how do we get them to not click that button, but instead to scroll down the page? Now, a great test for this would be the so-called "Would you read more?" test, and it will be included in this one. Now, what we need for this particular experiment is we do need a few people. So ideally you get people from your target audience, but also a few copywriters will do. So you just want their attention for a few minutes, maybe 10 minutes or so, and that should be well enough. Now, this headline test, is all about aligning with the motivation of the visitor and also about turning boring into interesting. So this is where you can use the peer review method as well. So as copywriters, if you were a customer, would you read more? And so on, and other questions like this. There will be a list that I will provide in the description as well. Now, how do we edit our headlines without editing our actual site? Because we want to keep our site intact and just test without putting anything to live, not editing our live version, so to say. Now, I'm going to use Chrome and I'm going to explain this right away. So, for CSS Changes, a great program you can use is StyleBot. But StyleBot, you cannot edit the text, so to say. You can just style elements. So let's say we wanted to style this one. We could go to StyleBot and make it not bold, for example. And we could edit the font. So right now it's 32 pixels. Let's edit to be 22 and we'll see how it changes the picture. So this is a great developer tool to kind of see how the changes would be without actually going and doing a whole bunch of actual changes for the style. So you want to play around with it most likely and check what kind of display options would be there, what looks best, and optimize it for visuals in the beginning. There's all kinds of things, margins, borders, things that we're not going to go and do on this video because this is not a CSS tutorial. This is really all about marketing, testing headlines, making them powerful. But that's the styling headlines. If you want to test the styles if you want to test your sub headlines, how they work with the main headline, you can go ahead and do a couple of versions like that. But what I like to do is aim for big changes. So instead of just going for small stylistic changes, I would go ahead and change the entire value proposition, for example, because you are running a low traffic site. You want to make sure that any type of wins you get will be big wins. So for example, a test like this would be stupid. Here's you do the selling will keep you safer, and here's another version you might test, an easy way to stay safe while selling. So it's just a little bit playing with words. However, like if you don't have the traffic, this kind of smaller changes don't make any sense. So go for the big changes, and I'm going to show you how to test them right now. So we're going to do HTML changes, and for us to do HTML changes, we are going to download the website or the web page to our actual computer. And it's actually pretty easy, so nothing complicated here. Don't get scared away. I'm going to show you step by step on how to do this. And this will be in Chrome, so if you're using Firefox, it's fairly similar, but all you need to do in the beginning is to click here and save as. Now you can see here I created a own folder for that, and the reason being is that this will actually be both an HTML site page and also a content folder where all the pictures are. So this is how it should look. It looks default like this, and you just hit save and it will be there on your computer. So then you just go to the actual page here, and seems like we only got the HTML, which is sometimes the case as well. That's fine, we don't need the other one. Now if we open this on our Chrome, so I'm just going to drag and drop it, and see, actually we do need the other folder, so I'm going to make sure that we got that as well. So that was because we were downloading this for the second time, but when you do it for the first time, you should get this folder. This should be on the same root folder as this HTML file. And now you can see this is actually downloading it from my desktop, so we got this nice web page here on our site. Okay, so here we have our HTML file. Now next thing we're going to do is just simply pull out a notepad and drag and drop this. Okay, so here we have our doc type, HTML, so on. You can see a nice HTML code here. Now what we don't want to do is become developers and start changing things massively, but what we are good to do is just simply copy the text and see where it is. Find text, here we go. So we can see here's our headline. So what I would like to test, for example, would be big changes like we said. So instead of focusing on the security, how about we focus on the social proof? So the world's #1 payment gateway. Okay, so maybe we want to style this a little bit. Actually, this is done with CSS anyway, so it doesn't really matter. But that's our new headline. And then let's say we want to edit this one as well. Instead of real-time fraud protection, we will say trusted by billions. Let's say billion people yearly. Okay, just to illustrate the point, this is not an actual headline I would use. And then let's edit this one as well for illustration purposes. Reach out to buyers all over the world and get paid faster. So We'll use the most popular way to reach buyers. Reach buyers all over the world. Alright, so here's our social proof experiment. Now, as you can see, it's already in HTML, so we actually don't need to do too much. We're just going to save it. Okay, and then go back to our folder. And as you can see, things are going to change on this page. So I'm just gonna drag and drop this, and here we have it. This is our alternative version of this page. We can see how it depends or differs from the actual original one. So you do the selling will keep you safer. Here we have the world's #1 payment gateway. Now, very interesting to see actually which performs better. So next we would just take screenshots of these. And the reason we are taking screenshots is that we want to control the amount of time people spend on this viewing these pages. And the reason why we do that is that we want this to be as realistic as possible. So it needs to be instantly capturable and rankable. Also, if you want to test this in a way that is honest and is actually pretty scientific, you would show the both variants the same time. So that's why we can be consistent with our testing. Okay, so then fifth part is the ranking. So you are actually going to show these to people and ask them to rank them on a scale. Now, it's a pretty simple question. Would you read beyond the headline? And you actually don't want to use numbers here because people associate sometimes 4 being better than 1. So you just want to ask them to actually rank these with the actual text. So make them choose a text, not numbers. Now you can add a couple more questions to this. It doesn't need to be just would you read beyond the headline. You could add some other things such as like how interested are they and things like this. But you want them to combine these factors together and really aim for a headline that gets a point of 3.2 or better. So if this third best would be 3 points, this would be 4 points, you would average them out and get a kind of like a ranking factor for your headline. Please note that you're not looking for commentary or criticism necessarily at this point, because you just want to stay objective and rank them accordingly and just look at the number really. And this is to measure their gut response after reading the copy. And the reason why it's gut response, again, to make it as realistic as possible. So that's why I wouldn't show these headlines to them more than 10 seconds. Enough for them to get read, but not enough for them to like really think it over and like try to understand what it is and so on. Because in a typical scenario, your visitors will not bother. And only ask for feedback if the score is like below this 3.2. So what you want is proactive feedback. So what is good, what is bad, what is not like understandable. Suggestions are good, but they need to be proactive. So if it's just something inactionable like this headline sucks, like, that doesn't really give you anything. Like why? Ask why many times. Then once you get that feedback, if you didn't hit that 3.2 mark, just keep going. Form another version and do this process again and again. Keep learning, keep making it better. Which is better, which is weaker. You keep like A/B testing these headlines with your target group, and eventually you'll get into a better and better headlines. And really, like also at the end, have the original copy go through this rating again, so that you can see how much you improved. And this is something tangible for you to also see that the process wasn't complete waste of your time, but was actually something you benefited from. So that's it. A very practical way to test headlines, a very easy way, a very fast way, and something you can implement to your site even if you don't have a lot of traffic. That's it. Thank you for watching. For more conversion rate optimization videos and zero content, make sure to subscribe, and I appreciate if you like the video as well. I'll see you on the next ones. Thank you.